Hi, come on along and let's visit some more of Oregon's ghost towns. There's about 40 of them in all, but we'll see a half hour each week until we've covered the whole 3.5 hour video that many of you already have. Just a few miles north of Enterprise was this herd of buffalo that somebody's evidently raising. And next we're going to look at the beautiful Wallowa Mountains behind Enterprise. Just 6 miles south of Enterprise, there's an old-time western town called Joseph. This is the church at Joseph. This is one town that probably hasn't changed since the early West days. This red brick building is the last building in Joseph that we took a picture of. This church is at Wallowa. Y'all catching any fish?
Oh, we're having lots of fun now.
Looks like you got your lines tangled. Okay, now, leaving Joseph, we come up to a town called Wallowa, where you saw the old church and the people in the river. From there on, we go to LeGrand, Pendleton, and there's a little scenery outside of Pendleton. From there, you go on over further west, just south of Condon, to a town called Mayville, which is a ghost town. From there, you go back and through Shantyco, which is a ghost town, to Kent. Now, this is the last ghost town on this trip. Shantyco was on the last ghost town movie, and now we're going through the southern part of the state next. Going through Maupin first, where they had some river rafts, down to a place called Smith's Rock State Park. And then from there on toward Eugene over the Mackenzie Pass to the old Rock House. This white building is the old hotel, which some people lived in. We're going to take a look at it in a couple minutes inside. Now, in the early days, if you were going to rent a room, you just go up these stairs here and find room number 3, or whichever one you're looking for. These small rooms and a low ceiling. The same low ceiling in all the rooms, looks like. It also has kind of like a view porch here too that's screened in, which is pretty nice. This old deserted ranch was evidently quite a nice place at one time. It's just west of Kent. And then we're going on down the hill here and toward Maupin. You'll see by the river where the Indians are allowed to fish at. This isn't the Maupin City Park. Now the Cove State Park is on the west side of Madras, and it's a big lake. After this we'll cross the bridge at Terrebonne and see Smith Rock State Park, which is south of Madras. Now this is the rock house on the top of the Mackenzie Pass. I understand the roof is burned off from it lately. It was made out of wood, evidently. And these are the Three Sisters. They're clear up here on the top of the Cascade Mountains. Now for the second trip across the southern part of Oregon, we're going to go back to this old 1923 map of Oregon. And it shows about 10 towns down here in the southern, 50 miles below Bend anyway. And of those 10, there's none of them left except for one house there at Stauffer. The rest have all been torn down, and there's a few old houses here around Fort Rock that have been hauled in that were saved. And from there we're going to look at the hole in the ground, and the Harrison Place, and the crack in the ground. This is Fort Rock, where the cavalry fought off an Indian battle back in the early West days. We'll drive inside pretty soon and take a closer look at it. Now the lady that runs the Fort Rock post office told me that all the buildings in the 10 nearby towns were torn down by people. That's what she said anyway, with the exception of Stauffer. The only remaining buildings were moved into town here. This is the old church right here, and it seems to be missing a roof, but I think that's what this board pile alongside of it is for. They're probably going to rebuild it. Now this is going inside of the church here. Also needs a little door repair, looks like. Must have had a balcony or something, and an altar down front. These are about the biggest jackrabbits that I've ever seen before. Back in the early homesteader days, they were quite a problem. In this old picture here, it shows a rabbit drive in the desert. It was in 1911. They caught nearly 1,800 rabbits. They were hard on the homesteaders' crops, but they made good food. Now we're going to take a look inside of Fort Rock. It's kind of dark, but it still shows up some. Now this is the hole in the ground. It was caused by a gigantic buildup of steam, and then all of a sudden, kaboom! And this is the result. Next we're going to look at Fort Rock again from this rim of the hole in the ground, and then a little trip over to the Harrison place. They say many of these old homesteads were abandoned because either the roof caved in or the well went dry. It's hard to tell which one happened. Now, after the Harrison place here, we're going to take a look at the crack in the ground. As you can see, this crack in the ground is quite deep, and it goes for about 3/4 of a mile. And most of it you can walk through the bottom, although there's a few places where you have to just walk up along the top. And this is down getting toward the end of it, where it kind of narrows down, and as you can see, the roads out here aren't too good. I don't recommend it for anything but a van or a pickup, because the roads get pretty rough. Now we're leaving the Fort Rock and Christmas Valley area and going through Summer Lake and Lakeview and east over to Plush and through the swamps and the mountains to a ghost town called Blitzen that most people don't know about because it's deserted, and on up to French Glen and on down to Fields and Andrews and by the big Alvord Desert, and we'll come across here to Princeton and we'll see Pete French's Round Barn and Diamond. Then from there we'll go on east to a ghost town called Danner and Jordan Valley, Delamar, and Silver City, Idaho, and from there on back up to Leslie Gulch, and then way on up north here to a place where the Oregon Trail comes across called Mormon Basin, and then from there on up to Rye Valley. That'll be the last town we visit on this trip. This old church and school is just south of Summer Lake. Now the next mountains you see are south of Paisley, and the last mountain is the Thomas Rim, which is a big 2,000-foot fault. Hope you've enjoyed this half hour of Oregon Ghost Towns. Come back next week and let's see some more.